Good morning and welcome to the 7th episode of our podcast,
where we drink tea and navigate the balance between school and personal life.
I'm Sophia Saith.
And I'm Sophia Curry.
And this is Sip and Spill.
Welcome back to the Tea Journal.
The topic we'll be touching on today is your support system.
So I think to start off, let's ask, what is a support system?
So I feel like a support system refers to your network of people who provide a person with both practical and emotional support.
Right. So it's kind of, those people in your life that you go to when, you're having a hard time, or you just go there really for any support or even to celebrate accomplishments, achievements, stuff like that.
Someone you can go to if you want to pick me up or if you want to celebrate.
Yeah. And so our next question is, why is it important?
So first of all, your support system helps you balance life and stress.
Yes, definitely. Maintains a sense of well-being.
Right, and promotes healthy and strong connections with those around you and yourself.
Yeah, so I think, us personally, we can atone to why a support system is so important just from our personal friendship.
Right.
I think we got a lot out of it, and I know definitely this has helped me through a lot of stuff, and whenever I need to talk to somebody, I know I can confide in you, and I know I have, other people that I can confide in, and it's gotten me through, the past few months with all the personal struggles that I've been having, and then just overall life in general. It really helps to have people there that you can go to, and it helps you feel less alone.
I agree with that.
And then
the next question is, how do you create a support system?
Yes. So let's start off with, you determine who you feel comfortable with. So if you don't really go to people a lot for stuff, that's completely understandable. And I've had a lot of experience with friends, like my own friends and other people who are hesitant to go to people. It's that whole vulnerability aspect. It's really scary to people. Trust issues is huge.
Right. It's scary to be vulnerable to someone for the first time and not knowing what their response is going to be.
Yeah. So I think the first thing, you can kind of sit there is, who do you feel closest to? Who do you get along with really well? The vibe.
Yeah, and that can be, your parents, a trusted adult, or even your friends.
I mean, I think the first thing you really start is in your family, because, family, the way I've grown up is, your family's going to be there for you. Family's huge for us, blood is thicker than water, that whole concept, really be there for each other. So family, I think, is the biggest supporter that a lot of people have. Now, if you don't have, support in your family, look for it elsewhere, even in mentors at school, friends, parents too, if you trust them and they're good people, and then friends too. So yeah, who do you feel most comfortable with and safe with, for sure?
Absolutely. And the next thing is to foster healthy communication.
Yes.
So what would that include?
Healthy communication is, being open. Healthy communication and openness, open-mindedness, is really important, I think, in any relationship, but especially your support systems.
Agreed.
I know, for example, when we've never really had a major fight.
No.
And I'm really grateful for that.
Me too. I feel like we're both really supportive of each other.
Yeah.
And we've accepted each other's opinion.
Yes.
Regardless of how that differentiates us.
Yes. And I think that's the first thing, that it's Sophia has an open mind when I come to her about something. I think you guys have even heard us on the podcast disagree, and then we kind of work through it, and we're like, okay, yeah, let me hear your point of view. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
And we take it in, and we kind of, reform our own opinions, hear each other, and really allow that information to soak in so that we get every perspective.
Absolutely. And I feel like you cannot confuse stubbornness with strength when it comes in a relationship.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. You can't confuse stubbornness with strength, because that goes into so many things. If you really, I don't want to say if you really care about each other, but if you really want to build that strong relationship, that strong support system, you have to be able to, hear the other person's side, and it's not just one-sided, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can't just come to you with all my problems and then just be like, you can't tell me anything.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Like it goes both ways. The support goes both ways. You got to be there for each other.
Right. You have to be able to lean on each other without having to worry about the fact that you're a burden.
Yeah, for sure.
Because you're not. And to your support system, you should not be a
Hmm.
burden.
And that's another thing I think is really big for people, even me. I feel sometimes like I ask a lot of my friends that I'm really close with that are in my support system, and this is my own personal insecurity. It's like, if I'm ever too much for you, or if I'm ever like bothering you with too much, or I'm telling you too much, just let me know. And that does hold true. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that is a good boundary to put within your support system because, everybody has their limit. Sometimes the other person isn't having a good day either, and they're like,
Yeah.
they're not in the headspace, to take in your I don't want to say problems, but your like
Emotional turmoil.
emotional turmoil, your
Yeah.
struggles from the day or the past week. So having that boundaries there is good, but also
Being able to say those boundaries
yeah,
is also something really important.
yeah,
Um, Speaking of, we can move on to a safe, supportive environment.
yes,
So being able to set boundaries is, I feel like a major part of a
mm-hmm.
supportive and safe environment, especially.
Yeah. And I think, to touch back on what I was saying about, that insecurity, sometimes it's okay and they're there for you. They
Yeah.
really are there for you, but, the boundaries are good
Mm-hmm.
because that allows there to be structure. Instead of just word vomiting on each other, taking everything in. I actually had a big blowout fight with one of my other closest friends. And the both of us, we were very give, give, give. I want to help you. I want to help you. But but refused to accept help for themselves. And it was really hard because, we would push each other saying, please let me help you and whatever. And we kind of clashed and it kind of blew up in our faces because we didn't really set the boundary of where does that lie when we're saying it's too much. So, you know, the fluidity, or not the fluidity, but the constant like going at each other didn't really work. And then we came back after like a month and we set those boundaries and we were like, okay, we know where our limits lie now. We know, what lines not to cross. And now we can be there for each other in a better way and a stronger way than we were before.
Right. And I feel like that goes into a lot of communication and trust between the two of you,
Mhm.
where you did actually have to end up taking a break. But then
Yes.
after that break, there was a lot of healthy and open communication to what each other's boundaries were.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what we need to focus on within our support system.
And I think the other thing is, there are going to be things that you don't always agree with, too. Like I know this person or some of the people that are closest to me, the way they respond to some situations is not the way I would respond.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where I kind of put the boundary and say, hey, this is not what I need from you right now. What I need is this. What I need is, maybe a distraction or, to talk about something else. Or, I want you to at least try and hear my side before
Right.
you jump and make a judgment or come to a conclusion about, how you want to help me.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I think that's big on communication again.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I really like what you said about like stubbornness. It's like that's so good because
Yeah.
that you can see where that is. And then you can see where the line lies of no, this is making us stronger versus, we're butting heads.
Yeah.
So
I feel like only focusing on your opinion is more stubborn than it is having strength.
Oh, yeah.
And strength in a relationship is built on communication and trust and respect of each other's boundaries.
And if you want to go further and say like you're in a relationship,
Mm-hmm.
or even with friends, the trust, I come from a place that, trust isn't always earned. Trust is built over time.
Yes, I agree.
And, say you enter a relationship, the trust is there because you like this person. And, for certain things, I can understand, building up to something being like, okay, until you're comfortable with something. But, if it was in terms of like cheating or something like that, you have to say, unless you've given me a reason not to trust you, the trust is there until it's broken.
Right.
That's kind of how I view trust, and that's in any relationship. Like, unless someone was talking badly about you and they've given you a reason not to trust them, the trust should be there and respected.
Agreed.
On both ends. So, honestly, I think that might be it. Yeah. So the main takeaway would be, like, first figure out who your people are, who you feel safe with, and it's okay. Like, this is a scary process. Like,
definitely.
It's a scary process. And why is it important? Go ahead.
No. I feel like finding your people also doesn't happen, like, specifically because you're trying to.
Yeah.
Like, you find your people through things you do.
And just being.
Yeah. And it's your choice to foster that relationship.
Yes.
These people will be in your life. It's just your choice to connect with those people.
Mm-hmm. And, support systems evolve over time, too.
Agreed.
People leave, and people come and go. And it's okay. I was really close with someone, and now we don't talk anymore. And, it's sad to me, but it's okay because, this person served their purpose in my life. And, she was a really big person for me, but I'm like, now she's moved on and is doing her own thing, and I'm over here doing my own thing, and we're both happy and whatever. And I was like, she served her purpose for the time that she was there.
Right.
So, I think it's not more of a search, but kind of just observing more. I want to say being more observant of who's around you and how you feel towards certain people. So that can kind of help you determine who you feel safe with. And then the communication.
Fostering healthy communication. We've talked about communication in episodes prior.
Oh, so many episodes prior. I think communication is like our huge theme, overarching theme is communication.
Communication is key.
It is key. It's key in anything, really. Like, I mean, if you don't have good communication, like
what do you have?
That sounds so mean.
It is,
like, but it's important in everyday life, even between people you're not close with. It's just that's how we, communicate with each other. That's how we, connect with the people around us and move throughout our daily lives. So for the people that you're closest with, having good, healthy communication is like...
It matters.
It's key. It's,
And then along with that, open-mindedness and acceptance of who the other person is.
Yeah, for sure. That, and then I think all of that feeds into trust and that respect aspect. You have to mutually respect each other. Like, if you don't respect each other, I don't really see how it's a supportive system. But yeah, so look for those people.
Agreed. Yeah. So that pretty much wraps up our tea journal for this week. Welcome to Tea Time Talks.
Today we are going to continue with our theme of support systems.
Today we have two very special guests joining us. They are one of the people that we go to when we need a shoulder to lean on, and they are an important part of our support system. Let's start with introductions.
Okay, so my friend that I have here is Natalie, so you can introduce yourself if you want.
Okay, I'm Natalie Demelfi. I'm an 11th grader.
Okay, and then we also have Wima.
I'm Wima. I'm a rising junior.
Ooh, she's a rising junior.
She's a rising senior.
Oh, she's so fancy. Okay,
So how did we meet, Wima?
We met in 7th grade. We had a shared class, but we didn't really click until 8th grade. It was, if I remember correctly, a trip that made us close friends, the Da Vinci trip.
Yeah, the Da Vinci trip. I remember that one very vividly.
Me and Natalie became friends because my ex-boyfriend she's dating my ex-boyfriend's brother, and then we just got really close.
So that was I think that was when you were in 8th grade, right?
Yeah, that was 2 years ago.
That's crazy.
Weird.
That's the same time we became friends.
Whoa, wait month.
We Oh,
Oh, no.
September.
November.
November.
We were in
No,
May.
I think I stalked you online. Or not stalked you, but I looked up your Snapchat and I like
And you found
I
me.
added you, and because I was like, Brian has a girlfriend. Like I've got to
Stop,
figure out
I
who this
know.
is. Like we got to become friends. And I started talking to you, and you thought that I was the girl in your.
I did.
And I'm like, I'm at the high school. I'm not in middle school.
And I was like, oh my god. And then you were like, I'm Andrew's girlfriend. And I was like, oh. Yeah. And then we literally yapped for another like 5 hours after that. Like paragraph upon paragraph.
Yeah.
That was fun. So let's start off with our first topic. So we have, what are our support systems? So I know for sure that, you know, of course, our friends sitting right here are our support systems.
Absolutely.
You know, my parents are my support system for sure.
Agreed.
So I lean on my friends and family a lot.
I feel like I tend to lean on my friends because they don't tend to immediately give me a solution.
Yeah. I mean, what are your support systems?
Mostly my friends. Sometimes my mom, but depends on what I need support on.
That's fair. That's
But for the
fair.
most part, right here, Sophia.
Yeah. I think you said you lean a lot on your family. You guys are like
I think my mom definitely
mom.
leans on me more than I lean
I
on
feel
her.
that.
But I mean, I'm more of a keep a lot of stuff to myself, which is something I'm trying to work on. But I think I definitely talk with my mom a lot, and then my friends.
yeah. See, that's good. We have a
Yeah.
good perspective there because support systems are hard to like make because I know they're like really scary to. We were talking about this earlier
In the teacher.
in the tea journal about how scary it can be to make a support system.
And how you have to observe to find who these people are going to be.
And the vulnerability aspect because that's hard. Like I mean, I think you can speak to that because you were saying like you tend to keep everything to yourself.
Yeah, like I honestly like since going to high school, I've had more of a hard time like making friends. Like I've had the same 3 friends since first grade, and it's because I don't open up easily and I don't trust people.
Yeah.
So it's like I have to really get to know you and like trust you before I can even like go to your house or like hang out with you because
Yeah.
it's like very uncomfortable for me.
That's definitely relatable. I
Yeah.
feel like it's also just not like opening up, but also being able to like maintain that level of like
Yeah.
openness and trust. It's definitely hard.
I think it's so hard, especially in our high school,
Mm-hmm.
because there's so many kids.
Yeah.
There's so many kids, and there's cliques everywhere. I was having that discussion yesterday with someone because they were telling me about how they left Parkland Theater because it was so cliquey, and they were like, people like hated her for no reason. Like they just didn't like her. They just didn't talk to her, and she was like, I literally didn't do anything. I don't know why they don't like me, but she left because she's like, I don't want to do that. So to find the people that like genuinely like you, I think is really hard.
I know.
Like I came from a friend group in 8th grade that was like fake all around. They would turn around and be like, oh my god, I love you, and then turn around and be like, I hate that person. And there was no rhyme or reason. It was just weird. So I think that's really difficult. And I think you can speak to that too.
Yeah, I feel like I had to like take a break from a lot of my old friends to be able to foster a closer relationship with them.
Me too.
Yeah.
Okay, so our next topic that we have is what do they achieve for us? So I think we can all go around and say like what they achieved.
I feel like a support system is always going to help you when you're down. Like that's one of the main purposes of your support system is to help pick you back up.
Yeah.
I would say that they also offer a different perspective to like any problem you have, because you might be thinking about it in a certain way, and like if you didn't have the people around you to like show you a different solution or stuff like that, you wouldn't be able to handle it as well.
She got me through so much. Natalie got me through, like, the past 3 months have been absolutely terrible. Like, horrible. But you got me through, like, a lot of that. So, like, thank you for that. Because she offered me, like, a good perspective. And I think something that you find a lot in your support systems is the maturity level. We were talking about that
In a way earlier episode.
way earlier, but I think just personally we were talking about that. Like, You know what I mean? Like when like you have the certain friends that you know that you can go to, but then there are the people that you click with and they know like they understand like where your head is at.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Like I feel like you very much understand where my head is at.
Mhm.
So that helped. And then they help you celebrate your achievements too.
Agreed.
Like
In an, I would say, non-toxic way,
mm-hmm.
where it's not competitive.
Yeah. That's really important.
Yeah.
That's like it's so good to have someone be there like, "Oh my god, I'm so proud of you."
Good job. This is great. Not trying to one-up you all the time.
Ew, I hate that.
Right.
I hate that. And then I don't know, what do you get from your support system?
I really like the perspective that I think, at least with talking with Sophia a lot, like, she's always looking at things from her perspective, and it's very, one-sided, and I try and give her a bunch of different perspectives because I'm not feeling the same feelings that she's feeling,
Mm-hmm.
if she's upset or mad or angry or whatever, so I always try to, like, talk about that and, like, give her another perspective to look at, and then also, I think I saw a quote the other day, I don't remember where I saw it, it was something about get out of your head and get into your hands, and, like, if you're, like, thinking about something or worrying or anxious, like, go out and do something, and I think having someone push you and help you get there and be like, if you've been moping around all day, like, come on, let's go out to eat, let's go
Yeah.
hang out, let's go do something, so, like, having that other person there to just get you up and get you motivated,
Just that little shove that you need
Yeah.
to like keep
because
going.
sometimes it's hard to just do that yourself, especially when you're
Yeah.
in that state,
Oh, yeah, for sure. And then I think the other thing we were talking about is just like how they go about it. Like how
Yeah.
they support you. And like I was talking about earlier my insecurity about I know I say this to you all the time and I feel like you know what's about to leave my mouth. And the fact that I'm
I
always
think so.
like am I putting too much on you?
I
Someone
figured
here
you were
has
gonna
the
bring
same
that.
problem.
Yeah.
I was thinking about what I was gonna say for this actually.
Natalie came prepared.
Yeah.
No, because I'm always constantly, that's like a big insecurity of mine, is I've always grown up and, trust the people around you. And I do find it hard to open up in certain circumstances, depending on what it surrounds. But I always feel like really bad. Like the past 3 months, I feel terrible because I like dumped all my stuff on Natalie. I dumped literally everything, and I was like, you also have your own life, and you have your own like problems and like whatever you're going through. So I don't want to like dump all my problems on you to like fix them and then be like, okay, thanks.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about that. Like, I know you said that to me before, but I've kind of told you, like, and you've talked about, like, with other friends you felt that way, because I think someone said something to you about it, and I was like, as your friend and, like, your other friends, if they're true friends, they will tell you when it's too much. Like, you should have the friends that you feel comfortable with, and when you need to go to them, you go to them. Like, so if they feel like you were going to them too much, like, they should be able to set those boundaries and say something.
We talked about
Which
this
is
in the
exactly
teacher.
what we talked about.
We
in the
also
teacher
talked
role.
about one-sided relationships and how your support system shouldn't be one-sided.
Yeah.
It's all about communication and like being comfortable with like talking.
Communication. We always say communication. We literally like harp on that all the time.
All the time.
Because I mean, like I was saying earlier, if you don't have communication, then I don't know how you have like a relationship. Like
Yeah.
the non-verbal, I'm such a not non-verbal person, as literally everybody in my life knows. I won't shut up. I don't shut up. But Natalie brings up a good point because we were saying, the whole boundary aspect. That is something that I'm scared of. Is like I don't want to be a burden to people, and I always strive to help everybody else. And so the last thing I want to do is not be helpful and like put more on them. But if they are truly your friends, they will set that boundary, and that's where it's like a healthy relationship. And
It's also up to you to respect those boundaries.
yeah, if you don't respect those boundaries, then that's not really your support system,
Yeah.
is it?
It's all about balance, like give and take. Like
Yeah.
how you guys were talking about one-sided relationships. Like it's all about like you would do this for the person, but they would do it for you too. Like, that's how you know it's like a healthy relationship when it goes both ways.
I'm not gonna lie, there's our mantra. Give
Yeah.
and take. I
Give
like
and
that.
take.
I really like that. Because you're right, respect is huge. and so are like putting up the boundaries and then knowing where it lies and not crossing it, and then making sure that it's not one-sided and you're there for the other person.
Absolutely.
Because I'd feel terrible if I just like go and then they just never told me anything, and then I was like, oh, like I kind of put everything on you, and then I never offered to help you. Like, that's terrible. I
Yeah.
would feel horrible if I did that.
Sometimes I would talk to Sophia about how, like, because I also had that feeling of, like, it being not one-sided in a way, but in that I, like, talk to her a lot more than she does to me. I tell her that, like, at, like, some point I even get uncomfortable talking to her if she doesn't, like, offer me the same way, because it's all about meeting each other in the middle. If she's not as equally vulnerable with me as I am with her, then, like,
We've had this conversation
We've
a
had
lot.
it a lot.
I think that's a conversation I have a lot with a lot of my friends. I like say it to everybody. I low-key kind of feel bad now that I'm always like, am I a burden? Because then that gets really annoying. Like, that can get really
Now
annoying.
you're just doing it again.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, it's
You are who
like
you
the whole.
are.
It's like the whole saying sorry too much thing.
Yeah.
I also have that.
You apologize for saying sorry too much?
No, like I say sorry too much. Like I'll be doing something, and then my mom was like, "Oh, like you dropped this," and I'll be like, "Oh, sorry," and she's like, "Why are you sorry?" Like I'll just like apologize for things, and then she's like, "Don't say sorry," and the next word that leaves my mouth is sorry.
Yeah.
It's like being a people pleaser.
Yes.
And I was like, "Okay," and then I was like, "You know, I'll just close my mouth now because I know the next word that's gonna leave my mouth is sorry." So it's like a never-ending vicious cycle. But then there's also stigma around support systems. And I think it's like for guys a lot.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And even for girls. But like guys are not supposed to be quote unquote vulnerable and like open and like, you know.
I know it's seen as a sign of weakness. Or, like,
Yes.
Yeah.
And I don't get that personally because I found strength from owning my emotions and letting people help me with them. But I don't know, from a perspective of somebody who doesn't come out as much, what do you think that, like, how do you think you relate to that?
I think, honestly, I think for guys it's more of just the way they're raised, I think. At least from a lot of the guys that I know, and like my dad and how he grew up, because he's definitely like that. My mom's been working on that with him for years now, on him sharing his feelings and emotions. I think it's more of how they raised him. For me, I don't know if it's a trait that I got from my dad or if it's because my mom is like the most open person, like more than you. Like
Really?
yeah, she's had a lot of mental health struggles, and you know, she's worked very hard to get where she is now. And you know, I think maybe growing up I just saw how much she was struggling, and I just tried to be there for her, and maybe I pushed stuff down, but I don't feel now like it's I don't get to a point where like I've pushed so much down that I burst, you know.
Right.
Some people do that. This is just the way I operate. Like I'm
I
not
think
quite
you
sure.
push it away and you're very much a helping person.
Yeah, like, I mean, I've had some family stuff going on this past week, and my mom's asked me, like, how are you okay? Like, you haven't come to, like, my mom's, you know, she's been crying, we've had multiple talks and stuff, and I'm just positive. I'm like, it's gonna be okay, it's all gonna work out, like, we gotta do what we gotta do, and we're gonna get through it. And she's like, how do you have this outlook on life? She's like,
Natalie's probably the healthiest person I know.
my mom
She's
asks me
the
that, like, every day.
healthiest
She's
person
like,
I know.
how did you end up so good? And
I
I'm
don't
like,
know. Because you are the literal most calm person. Like, you are the calmest and most, like, you're like, it's gonna be fine. And whenever I'm, like, literally on the verge of a panic attack, you're like, you're gonna be fine. Like, this is not the end of the world. Like, you have so much left and, like, in your day, not even just in your life, in your day. And, like, I don't know how you do that. I really don't. Like, your mom is right.
Yeah,
I don't know how you got
I
there.
asked myself the same question. I don't know.
I think it's, like, all about, like, the environment you're around.
Yeah.
And what you pick up. Because I know we're used to, just not to bring up my ex, but both of us are used to them, like, the boys kind of pushing their feelings away and not wanting to be vulnerable based on how they were raised.
Yeah, and I think there's a fair amount of women out there that their moms, like my grandmother, for example, like she kind of added to my mom's trauma in a way. She, you know, my mom wasn't allowed to express her feelings really as a kid. And I think that's from how my grandmother was raised, keep yourself, always stay happy and calm, and you don't talk about that stuff in public. And I think that's I think it's starting to go away. It's more of like a society thing.
Yeah. Oh, I think it's definitely because society's opened up, and definitely with everything on social media and people pushing the fact that you can have feelings and it's okay, and like mental health is getting more widely accepted, and it can definitely go further. Like, I know there's still more to do, but I think it's how we were built. Like, I know Sophia's mom was saying this when we were like on the phone the one day, from way back, like if you go back to like caveman times, which is I think I brought up like the caveman like analogy like twice today.
Yeah.
But they were like wired to be the protectors of the family, like, go out of the cage, kill things, protect the family from whatever comes harm's way. And I think it's just like, like that motherhood instinct that, we always talk about, like women having, and they're like, oh, they just have like that mother's intuition, whatever. I think guys have that in their own way.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's kind of like baked into them to like not want to be like seen as weak. And then I think people have painted emotions and having emotions and talking about them as weak, so they don't want to do it. It's
That's
like
been-
very psychologically
ingrained.
Yeah. And I think that's really sad. But it's getting more widely accepted, which is good.
It is.
So then who is in yours? I think we said this, but like but who is in it and why are they in it?
So Lima's obviously in mine.
Hi.
I mean,
But-
I think...
Good.
Oh, wait, sorry. I think I have, like, multiple friends, but not a lot. When you really think about it. I, like, really, like, the past few months, I really sat back and I was like, oh, now I really see who's in my support system and, like, who's not.
Yeah. I feel like I don't really lean on a lot of people. I don't like to lean on a lot of people. It's hard for me to lean on this one, but
No.
I've started doing that more often.
I'm seeing parallels here. I feel like me and Weema are like the same, and you and Natalie are like the same. It's like, you don't like to lean, you don't like to lean. I don't know, we like to lean, but we don't like to lean.
I know, it's weird.
We're like, I'm sorry for leaning, but I'm gonna lean.
Exactly.
And then they're just like, yeah, it's okay.
Go ahead.
No, that's all I was
Yeah.
gonna say. There was parallels, but go ahead.
That's my train of thought.
It's okay.
I was gonna say, I saw this TikTok once and it was how, like, you can't expect one friend to be your everything friend. I feel like that really opened my eyes to it, because, like, it could lead to, like, codependence or, like, a lot of, like,
Yeah.
emotional, like, toxicity in a way if you just, like, depend on one person for everything. It's just, like, so, like, 'cause I'm not trying to say anything, but I think I've depended on Sophia on, like, basically everything.
Right.
Whereas, like, at some points it could even like, not be fair to her that she's, like, my go-to or my default for everything. And I have to, like, open myself up to more friends and be more vulnerable to everything, and then expect, like, everything from just one person.
Yeah.
I think from what I've seen from my mom, like, she has, like, there's, like, a specific friend she knows she can go to if she's having work problems or if she's having, like, health problems or something like that. There's, like, she has a bunch of different friends, and then there's always, like, someone she knows, like, this person knows what I could do in this situation, so, like, I'm gonna go to them. But I did have a question. As an only child, do you guys have siblings, and are they a part of your support systems?
That's good.
Sophia and I both have younger brothers.
Okay.
I don't know if you heard him when you came in. He's super loud.
Okay.
But
Are they the same age?
hers is 1 year younger,
Yeah,
I think.
Okay, so he's still in middle school.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they're babies. I know, but I feel like, even though he doesn't like to admit it, I feel like he does lean on me more than I lean on him.
I feel like that would be like normal as like
an older
sister.
sister.
Yeah. I think I have that too, cause I think Kai's not very. He'll come to me for certain things, but then I'll like try to help him, and I'll be like, oh, I don't want your help, cause he's like a guy. It's like, no, your friends aren't the same. Like, it's not the same, or whatever. Or like, he'll like kind of push it away, but then he'll tell my parents, and my parents will come and tell me, and they'll be like, Kai says like you're the only one who understands, and he's like, no, Sophia's the only one who gets it. Like, she understands where I'm coming from. Like, she's gone through it. And I was like, oh, okay. And I think that's a lot about what we were talking about in episode 4 about family relationships and how, like, the generational difference.
Yes.
And I think my brother leans on me more, like, even just for, like, academic help. He'll come to me and just be like, oh, I don't know how to do this. And then I'll help him. But I don't lean on him as much because again, like, touching on, like, the maturity level and just the fact that he's a boy, I feel like if we were, like, if he was, like, a sister, we'd probably be even closer. But I say I'm pretty close with my brother.
Lima's in a different situation. She has one older brother and 2 younger sisters.
Yeah.
So.
Interesting.
My brother is a senior, and I've never seen him like as an emotional support person until maybe like a month or 2 ago, where like something happened and I was like very dramatically upset about it, and I was crying, and my mom couldn't get to me, my dad couldn't get like through to me, and he just like came to me and he sat down, and like for the first time ever I saw him like in a support system, because he like sat down and he like talked to me about it in like a way that felt more understanding than where my parents were coming from. Because like my parents are all like, yeah, you have to do this, you can't do this, blah blah blah, but he was like more understanding of my perspective. I feel like that definitely brought us closer. I also have 2 younger sisters, and it's like they lean a lot on me than I would ever do on them, because they're like elementary school, both of them.
Oh, yeah. I think it's harder when your siblings are younger because like you feel like you can't go to them. But I remember when I initially went through my breakup, my brother came to me and he was like, I'm here if you need anything. And he's like, I'm always going to be here. And that meant a lot to me because I've never really had him come to me and say that before. Like, I always knew he would be there, but like I never really like fell apart on him before. And I think one day in the past like few months I fell apart. And like he was there and it was nice. Which I don't know how Natalie does it, because my mom talks about that all the time, because she's like, your siblings are all you have when like, your parents die. Which is such a morbid and sad subject.
Yeah.
But like, I wonder, like, what would you do in like a situation like that? Like, I mean, even with what you're going through now.
I've always wondered that. I've always wanted a sibling. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I have dogs.
Yeah.
I have a dog, 2 dogs and a cat. Like, but I mean, that's how my life's always been. I'm just kind of by myself.
Are you close to any cousins, or do you have any cousins close to you?
No, my only cousins are in their 20s and they're married, and my one just had babies. So maybe I can
Maybe you'll get really
babysit
close to the baby.
time, but yeah, no, I don't have any cousins my age. My grandmother lives nearby. But yeah, no, I don't really have any family.
I don't know how
my
you do
age.
it.
Yeah,
I think that's why I became so mature so fast.
Right.
Because like that's why my mom's probably like the closest one, because there's not like a closer one in age that I talk to a lot in my
That's so
daily life.
interesting. I have 2 cousins that are my age and they go to our school, and they're like sisters to me.
Yeah.
And I also lean on them a lot.
That's another thing, like
Yeah.
being in school and having someone there that you know is like
Yeah.
it's not or a friend or family that you know is
Yeah.
like gonna be there for you too.
Yeah, that's like important. And I think it's really interesting when you talk about like the whole, like they're like sisters to you. I know the people that are like sisters to me. Like my one friend, I literally have grown up with her. Like I've known her since we were toddlers. And we go to school together, and I know for sure that she's gonna be there for me. Like, we have our struggles, but like we're like family friends. Like, we've grown up and we're not gonna lose each other, and it's nice to know that she's there. And you can have like that family aspect from other people outside of your family.
Agreed.
I don't know. Do you feel like you have anybody who's like a sister to you? From someone who doesn't have an actual sister?
I mean, I don't know what the feeling's like, so
Well, like you're just like really, really close to them.
I had a friend that I was really close to in elementary school, and middle school, but unfortunately we kind of fell off in December actually.
Yeah, I think you told me
Yeah.
about that.
She kind of just moved on. Well, she moved away before we went to high school, so at the end of 8th grade, so that was kind of hard, and then we kind of just started going different ways, and she was kind of like, okay, I'm done with you.
I think that touches on how we were saying accepting that your support system ebbs and flows, which we were saying earlier. Like, people come and go out of it because you're not always going to have, like, people, the same people, like, you know, like I was saying earlier, there was the one girl that we were really close, and now we don't even talk,
Yeah.
and I see her, and I'm just like, oh yeah, there she is, and then
I feel like
Moves on.
surprisingly enough, my support system has stayed pretty solid. I feel like I've added people as a friend, you know, Sophia Noman,
yeah,
Maheen Shireen, and now Wima. These four.
for the
have-
name dropping,
Hey.
name dropping.
I love these girls.
Mm-hmm.
I will go to these girls for anything.
They deserve the shout out.
Yeah. I think right now I'm trying to figure it out again because everything that's happened in the past few months, I'm learning who I'm going to the most and learning who I really, really feel close to, and it's kind of evolved from where it was. Like, I think I'm like taking people out of it and putting some people like in their place. That sounds so mean.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to replace people, but kind of just like
Mhm.
people are leaving and people are coming in, and it's changing, and I think I'm relying more on my parents now too, which I think similar to your mom. My mom comes to me for a lot, and I'm totally okay with that, and I like that we have that relationship because I feel like it takes the pressure off of just her being like just the mother figure, whereas I can feel like I can rely on her, and it's not just like she's there as like an authority figure.
Mhm. I feel that.
So I think, well, then I guess we also touched on how it's helpful
Yeah.
to have one, because I mean it is helpful. Because like when you have a problem, like I know I like literally can crash out in math.
Yeah. It
I like
happens
crash
all too
out in
often.
classes. Okay, I need to call me out like that.
But yeah, I think with what you said before, like it takes kind of like a big change in your life for you to realize who is really there for you and who your
Yeah.
support systems are. Because you might think like, oh yeah, this person is, but then like when something happens where you really need someone to be there for you, and they're like they can't do it or whatever it is, you know, you kind of realize like who you really can lean on.
So I feel like it's a
Yeah.
cycle of like how you said that like you have to be okay with the fact that your support system can change, stuff like that. But I feel like for me, if like no matter what, like I know like something might change, then why would I open up to you if you're gonna leave in like a year or two? So I might just not do it at all.
hard.
It's a toxic cycle. I'm aware of it, but like
No, but that goes into the whole like stigma around it and why people are why it's so hard to make one.
yeah,
Because it's scary. Like, I know when I opened up to like the people who are no longer like in my support system, I'm still scared about like what they're gonna do with that information that they have running around in their mind. And actually, one of them is starting to like say some stuff, and I'm like, please don't spread stuff around about me that's not true.
Yeah.
And you know, I don't really like that, so that scares me. Like, one of the things I'm scared of, and I've never told you this, but I'm scared that when you graduate, we're gonna like not talk anymore.
Really?
Yes, I'm like, I really don't want to lose Natalie as a friend because you like definitely are one of the. I just, not even for like support system stuff, I just enjoy being in your presence because we just get along really well, and I appreciate that. And I'm scared that like when my junior friends that are in my support system like graduate, that's gonna go away. So you have a valid point that it's like, why would I open up to you if it's like I know, quote unquote, you're gonna leave.
I think that's another thing that's hard for me is with teenagers. It's like some people, they'll be like, oh well, you just need to go set this person's house on fire. Like
Yeah.
teenagers, they can be very impulsive and like,
yeah.
and you know, some of my friends, they have different levels of maturity, and that's why I think with stuff like that, with relationships or friends and stuff like that, I'll go to my mom because she's had more experience and you know, she knows more than I do. So
I think that's why I specifically like lean on you two, like Sophia and Natalie, because I know, not to shame any of my other friends, like they're all great, but you two I really feel like hit my level of like, you know, where my brain is at. You kind of understand like psychologically where I am. Like, I think we're all very like psychology oriented here, which I think is really cool because like we kind of like understand. Like, Natalie pointed out to me when I was having like a hard time during my relationship, she goes, you guys are codependent. And I was like, oh my god, we are. And it like hit me because I didn't I always considered myself like a relatively healthy person, and I didn't think I would fall into something like that. And then when she pointed that out, I was like, oh my lord.
That's another thing that I wanted to say. I think a good support system is someone that's going to tell you what you need to hear and not what you want to hear.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's something that I really tried to work hard on during your relationship and after you guys broke up, is there were things that I know you wanted to hear,
Yep.
and that they were going to make you immediately feel better. But then they were going to drop back off and you were going to go back into that like
Yeah.
depressive state. And I said, I know it's going to be hard now, but in the long long run, you're going to feel better. And is the faster you realize this, then you're going to feel better, you know? And I think a lot of people will just, you know, take the easy route and be like, oh, well, maybe you can just stay with him. Like, maybe he's okay. Like,
Yeah.
But I
think,
always ask for, whenever I go to someone for something, they're like, I go, don't tell me what you think is going to make me feel better, because I don't want that. I want what you think, what you really want to tell me. Like, what you really think, not what's going to, like, sugarcoat it and make me feel happy in the moment. Because she's right. It, like, if she did tell me what I wanted to hear in the moment, I would have fell back into that depressive state, and I would have come back crying anyway, and it wouldn't have worked. Whereas I can process what really was happening and then move through that and say, okay, and then have the next thing to process.
I feel like to add to that, like, disagreements are okay. Like, even if, like, Sophia comes to me with, like, something that I want her honest opinion and I don't agree with her honest opinion, it still will, like, open my mind or make me think about it. So, like, I feel like people are just so scared of, like, disagreeing or, like, making someone else uncomfortable or something like that, that just they immediately just agree with whatever. And I've definitely fell into that. Like, I'm definitely guilty of doing that. But I feel like just, like, disagreements are okay. They're not, like, don't have to be, like, dramatic arguments or something like that.
I think I've disagreed with Natalie on stuff, but, like, we're okay. Like, we do fine, and like I've said with Sophia in the past, like, we accept our difference and then we move on, and that's important, because not everybody, you're not going to be exactly the same as someone else. Like, you can't have all the same ideologies and the same, like, thought processes, and everybody has different life experience, so you're gonna process and see the world differently. So you're, of course, gonna have different opinions, and it's okay, and you need to be able to, like, accept it, respect that, and then move on. So yeah, but I think it's good that we have, like, we know who our support people are.
So I feel like the main takeaway is, what was our mantra?
I don't know. Give and take.
Give and take.
Give and
So
take.
basically, with your support systems, it's not a one-way street. You have to give and take and have open communication for it to work out all right in the end.
Meet in the middle.
Yeah. Is there anything else that you guys want to add?
Why did everything?
If there's not, that's okay.
Like, it just, don't be scared of it. Like, I don't care how
Yeah.
cliche it sounds. Don't be scared to, like, lean on people. And, like, even if they do end up hurting you, or if you made the wrong judgment, like, if you're so afraid of not leaning on people because you're afraid of being hurt, then you're just gonna, like, live your life, like, safe but boring.
Yeah.
You know, so just, like, don't be afraid of getting hurt. That's
Yeah, like, you have to take those risks and
Yes.
find out what works and what doesn't, and then, you know, it's a journey to find your support systems and to get to a good place in your life.
I agree. Okay, that wraps up Tea Time Talks. Thank you so much for joining us today. It was a pleasure to talk to you guys.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you so much for listening to our 7th episode.
I hope you'll join us next week on Sip and Spill.